Hey guys, this is Chris from OurHighestPotential.com, Chris M. Manley on Facebook, and Christo_Our Highest Potential on Instagram. And I'm about to do a video on why I say that aging equals suicide. It's your choice. I posted this, I'll be reading comments. But first, I'm going to do a little guitar intro. Okay, let's get this show on the road, as they say. Put my guitar up so it doesn't fall down during the show, during the video. Okay. So, aging equals suicide, it's your choice. So, had some people asking me what I meant. I'm sure a lot of people were wondering what the hell I meant by that. Many did not wonder, most likely because they know that aging is really something that we choose. It's something that we choose. And we choose it mainly due to ignorance and conditioning that we are supposed to die at a certain age. And I've said this before, that what they would love to do, and when I say they, I always say they. I don't always say they. I try not to say they because it's a bit divisive. However, the fact is there are people that are working to keep you stupid and weak and controllable, and there is no unity in that. These people are not unified with me. I'm not unified with anybody who wants to oppress. However, that being said, we are not victims, guys. We are not victims. We choose, whether it be through ignorance or whatever, we still do choose to not know what we don't know. It's comfortable to think that everything that you're told is true, or at least most of what you're told is true. Or even if these people are partially lying, or you've learned partial lies and you find that out, you still accept the other lies, kind of clinging to them for whatever reason. Sometimes those lies have a lot to do with your livelihood or your education, or both. Usually it's both. And it's uncomfortable to let go of this conditioning because it means that you either live a lie or you change what you're doing. It's kind of hard to sleep at night if you continue. It's kind of difficult to sleep at night if you know something and you don't do something about it. If you know how life can be, if you know that you're being lied to, but you choose to go along with it and live as if it's true because it means the end of your lifestyle, or at least a great alteration to your lifestyle. But what a lot of people don't realize is that alteration most times will take you out of the unnatural condition that you've allowed yourself to be conditioned into, trained into. And you find yourself living more naturally. It's not an easy transition, it never is, but I can tell you it's a fulfilling one. So, anyways, I will get back onto the subject here. Aging equals suicide. This is my claim, and I'm going to back it up. Let's see if we have some questions here. I'll read some of the comments. Mimi Ali was asking, what do you mean? Can you explain it? Yes, I'll do a video. That was a day ago. Seems like a couple days ago, but anyways, here I am. Titia Knapp was asking, or looking forward to the video. We're getting younger. Living is forward motion toward death. Living is forward motion towards death. I disagree. I liked your comment anyways because you put it in here. You spent time to do that. And it wasn't a negative thing in any way. That's just your opinion, but I'm going to disagree with that. Lucas Lack, semi-unconscious, slow suicide being the leading cause of death. That's right. That's right. 100% from Michelle Violet Galetto. Pam Arujo, aging equals mostly chronic dehydration. So sad. Most people don't know what they don't know, but gladly the masses awakening fast now each day. You know what I didn't pull up? I did not pull up the salt crimes document because that requires another video. And you know, I've done a video on how salt kills us, but I'm going to do another one because I think the sound on that was pretty crappy. And this might not be the best sound ever that I have right now, but it is definitely an improvement. I did upgrade my equipment. So anyways, here we go, guys. Aging equals suicide. So here we have water in different forms, running through different mediums, picking up sediment. This is what's, these are drastic examples sometimes here, but water does pick up, or its original state, water is distilled, so it's negatively charged. It's going to pull positively charged particles like here, in here, in here, in here. Positively charged particles will get pulled, swept up into the water because the water is collecting it. It's energetically attracting it with its negative charge, which is what distilled water does in your body, which is why distilled water is the only water that you should ever drink. Distilled water has a negative charge. The molecules of distilled water are heavier than the positively charged molecules of waste matter, inorganic waste that are stuck in your body. And when I say aging, this is what causes aging. I'm not just talking about water and sediment and water, I'm talking about food, so-called food, the dead matter that accumulates in your body, especially in your colon. But the colon's not the final frontier. That's the first thing you can clean up. It's the easiest to clean up. The body itself, it takes a bit of time, but you can dredge that thing out, clean yourself up, and become a kid again. I don't care how old you are. You can feel like a kid and act like a kid and have the energy that you had when you were a kid. No joke. And I'm talking pain-free, waking up easy, waking up with energy, waking up easy, not laying there and dreading the day. Nah, frick that, man. I wake up, like boom, I'm up. No pains, no aches, no sickness. I never get sick. I just flat out don't get sick. And that's all because I've cleaned my body out. So, and that doesn't mean I have to never eat again. But I had to spend months cleaning myself out to get to the point where my body was clean enough to where I could eat some food here and there again and still be really, really clean because things don't linger anymore. They don't stick in my body. Whatever water comes through me is coming from the air. I don't drink water. I don't even have water. Like I have a jug of distilled and I use that mainly to clean things. It's a good detergent. Just pure distilled water is a great detergent because of that negative charge. And the heavier, by the way, I think I said this, the heavier molecular weight, the greater molecular weight of the distilled water molecules latches on to the positively charged waste molecules, which are lighter. And the weight and density of those molecules pull that matter out of your body. And also when you're cleaning things, it pulls dirt out of your clothes. It's crazy. It's so simple, really. You don't need soap with your clothes. I use baking soda and water, but anyways, I don't use distilled water to clean my clothes, but I am sure if I did that distilled water would clean my clothes very well. And someday when I have a distiller that pumps out lots of water, which I will, they do make this, by the way, these water makers that pull water vapor from the air and turn that into water. And it's pure water, it's distilled water. And those things crank out like thousands of gallons a day. Well, when I have something like that, pulling water from the air, making water for me, I'll use it in my clothes cleaning activities. I don't clean that many clothes anyways. I don't wear a bunch of clothes. But anyways, these are all side points. So there you go. Most water's dirty unless you clean it with a distiller or buy distilled. And even the stuff in plastic jugs, guys, is okay. And by the way, if you want a quick way to maybe clean yourself out and kind of dabble in cleaning yourself out without committing too much, without having to really do too much to your diet or anything else, which you should change what you're eating. But if you just ate everything the same as you're doing right now, but you added a gallon of distilled water a day, and only that, stop drinking anything else, just drink distilled water and watch what happens. Do that for a month, gallon a day, see what happens. Get back to me. I'd love to hear some testimonials. So there you go. There's your dirty water. There's what a distiller looks like after distilling tap water. Looks like here. There's another example. Sediment, sediment, sediment. What do you think this stuff is doing when it goes into your body? This sediment. It gets stuck in there. Look at this nasty. Wow. It gets stuck in your body. And when this sediment and food, by the way, so-called food, which doesn't feed anything, it feeds nothing, guys. It's a stimulant. That's all food is. And I'm going to be getting to that too in this video. So the distilled water, the residue left in a distiller is a good example of what's left in your body. This is rock. This is dirt. This is what's salt. Now, salt's a whole other thing. Salt's just a killer, man. Salt is total freaking poison. It pisses me off that the liars act like this stuff is needed. Even the most even the most diehard fruitarians, most think they need freaking salt because of the nutrition lie. That's why I talk about the nutrition lie and I spell it with N-U-T in all caps. Nut. You're nuts if you believe that shit. Who's handing you this bullshit anyways? These are the same people that you don't trust with anything else, but you're going to trust them with nutrition, with what you should be putting in your body. Look, the body does not need you or your salad shovel. The body gets what it needs. You're not eating when you sleep, you're not drinking when you sleep, but you are breathing when you sleep because the body creates blood and there is exhaust that comes from your body in the form of gases, toxins that are broken down and sent out in the form of gas. 70% of your exiting toxins go by way of gas. Burps, farts, sneezes, breathing, coughing. That's another subject. I was going to be talking about the lungs and how kids can get whooping cough, adults don't. It's because kids can still access the very, very extreme what would I call it? The extremities of the lungs. That's what I meant to say. The tissues, the deep, deep down tissues that in most adults is dead. You lose lung capacity as you get older, not because you're aging naturally, but because you are literally killing yourself with the sediment that you put in your body. You take away the lungs' capacity, and you no longer can cough. And look what they give us, cough suppressants. They're going to suppress the thing that detoxes you, these assholes. Sneezing, coughing, all that. Let it happen. Let it out. This is how your body's detoxing. It needs to detox. You can literally kill yourself. If you were to stop all those functions, you would die. Your body needs constant detoxing. This is what it does. And I could go deep on that, but I'm not going to go super deep on that right now. This video would be 3 hours long. And I'm trying to make it not 3 hours long. I'm thinking maybe 30 minutes or so. I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, here we go. Cardiovascular system means, now I'm reading from their science, but here it is. Cardiovascular system means the system of heart and blood vessels of the human body. The term cardiovascular is a combination of two words, cardio and vascular. The term cardio is derived from cardiac, meaning heart, and the term vascular means blood vessels. So the name itself indicates that the cardiovascular system is the system of the heart and blood vessels. The cardiovascular system is also known as circulatory system, the circulatory system. And it's made up of the heart, blood vessels, and blood. So that's that. And there's an image of our cardiovascular system. Now, they're showing the main arteries and the main larger veins that run through the body, but the function of this system is to clear out cellular waste. And cellular waste comes from toxins and dead cells, dead cell matter, flesh, basically, bone, blood, skin, muscle, all of it, eyes, and blood itself. And these cells are removed via the cardiovascular system. These little veins, let me get the pointer going here, and let me make it a little bit smaller. See if I can decrease. Nope, that's as small as it gets. Oh well. So these veins, these are like, just picture little garbage trucks driving down these roads, removing cellular waste from all of your extremities. Now here's what happens. When your body gets filled up with sediment, these extremities, this skin, the bones, muscle, everything else, starts to die off. These cells die. Now here's the thing. If the blood can't get, let's just say the tip of your finger, okay? Nah, that's not a good one. What's a good area? Let's say part of your leg. I don't know. Let's just say, you get these real tiny, tiny veins. Now, the tiniest veins are the ones that are going to be blocked up first. They're the ones that are the smallest, easiest to block off with sediment. So these extremities start to die. The skin starts to die. You're basically like the Walking Dead. When have you ever heard anybody say that? But that's what it is. This is dead flesh. When the veins cannot reach the tissue, the cells die, and the waste is not cleared out. And guess what? The body is fully capable of replacing all these cells, but it cannot do so if the cells, the dead cells, cannot be reached and removed. They have to be removed to make way for the new. cells. That's how it works. So, by leaving this sediment in your body and continuing to build on it by drinking tap water, by drinking spring water, Fiji water, I don't give a shit. I don't care if they got it from heaven. If it's not distilled, it's crap. Now, there are a few forms of distilled water accessible to you. 3 of them. And I'm going to list them by the best to the not as best, but still distilled. Number one is your Orin. It is the absolute top. Look into Shivambu if you haven't heard about this before. It is the top form of distilled water that you can use. It's the best distilled water in the world because it not only is distilled and will clean and dredge you out, and I'm speaking from experience, guys. I did this, okay? I took 7 months, March to October of 2016. Somewhere between 95 to 99% of my total ingestion, that's liquid and solid, was just my pee. That's what I did for 7 months, and I cleaned myself out, and I kept going. I was strict, and I stayed quite strict for over 2 years, and I still am. I've probably had more fruit and avocado and stuff like that in the last, I would say, year and a half than I've had during the last almost 5 years. But that being said, very minimal. I'm still mostly dry. They call it dry. I'm not dry anymore. My body doesn't get dry because I'm not filled with dehydrating elements, which is what sediment is. And sediment comes from the water you drink, like I was starting to say, plus your food, so-called food, which is dead. Most of it coming in is dead. So the 3 forms of water, you've got Orin, urine, Shivambu, whatever you want to call it, it's your pee, okay? That's what it is. It's the best thing you can consume, period. Hands down. It has every element of your body within. Why? Because it is your blood, highly filtered, mixed with water. It's called plasma ultrafiltrate. It's the cleanest, most sterile liquid in your body, and we are taught that it's like number 2. That's what they teach us, the liars. If you want to believe that, more power to you. I'm not gaining anything. I'm not selling you anything here. I'm selling you on yourself. You are amazing. You are amazingly made. And unless you're laid up in a bed and your organs are failing, you can turn everything around right fucking now. Okay? You can turn it all around right now. And I say, what the hell are you waiting for? You can see that nobody's looking out for you, in terms of in this system. They're not looking out for you guys. You know that. You got to look out for yourself. We've got to empower ourselves, and you are fully capable of doing it. You have no excuse. None. We have no excuse. So, the 3 forms of distilled water, I keep going off track. There's your Orin, and then secondly, by the way, that will heal everything. Okay? Orin will heal everything. Everything. Clean out your body, everything goes. All the shit, all the problems disappear. All these names you have, all these clubs you're in, or these groups, or whatever the hell, you've been conditioned into believing or joining, the heart group, or I don't even know what the fuck they've got, diabetes groups. Man, that's a separate video. I'm not going to go off on that right now. Okay, so basically, you'll forget the names of everything you were told that you have. And it'll have one name, and that'll be called infirmity, inflammation, dis-ease in the body, not diseases that have pills attached to them. So Orin, urine, Shivambu, number 1. Number 2, distilled water. And you can buy that in the plastic jugs. The amount of plastic that might leach into that water is so minimal, and it will be latched on to the distilled water already. So when you drink it, it's going to go right out. It's not going to get stuck inside you. I've used distilled water before I realized that I didn't need to drink anything. not only didn't need to drink, but that the state, when you're in a natural cleaned up state, water is not good for you. When you're dehydrated because of dehydrating elements in your body like food and sediment and you need to be cleaned out, then you do need the water. But once you're cleaned out, you do not need that water anymore. Right now, if you haven't spent the time to really clean out your body, do that first before you try to get deep into any dry fasting. Because that dry fasting will end up being a bad experience if you try to go on long, extended periods without being cleaned up, cleaned out, and rehydrated naturally by the air. Because that's where the body pulls water from, through your skin. And number 3 would be freshly squeezed, uncooked, unpasteurized fruit juice. That's number 3. Any kind. Even celery juice, whatever, beet juice, any of that stuff. It's all going to be better. It's all going to be distilled. So there you go. Those are the 3 types. So your blood here is trying to reach the extremities of your body to keep all of the tissue in your body new and fresh and clean. Clean meaning no waste. So as cells die off due to being damaged by salt, mainly by other chemicals, other shit that we put in our body, when those cells die, they need to be cleared out. And if your blood can't reach those areas because they're blocked up because of those tiny little vessels, those tiny little capillaries being blocked, then that tissue dies. So you're walking around with dead tissue. That's why you see people that look gray, kind of ashy when they get older. That's why, because their skin is dead. They're literally dead, walking around with dead flesh hanging off their bones. Do you want that? I don't think you do. So, time to clean it up, man. Moving on. It's another image here. I don't know why I really saved this one, but looked kind of cool. And this is part of the brain, which has also the same thing, made up of cells. So now think about this, guys. Your brain, you can lose your brain when it gets blocked up with sediment. You will not have all living tissue in your brain. Parts of your brain will die as well. I don't know what that looks like or what it does, but I'm guessing you start losing the capacity to think. That being said, most people hardly use any of their brain anyway, so they might not even notice. I'm not trying to be an asshole either. That's just a fact. There's an image of a hand. I'm sure you can't see all the little tiny microscopic sized capillaries. Might be using the wrong word here, but I mean, look at all those veins. That's just in the hand. So this runs through your whole body, and when they get blocked up, your tissues die, and the blood can't clear out the dead matter, the cellular waste. Thusly, your skin and your tissues are dead, and again, you're walking around with dead skin hanging off your bones. Dead flesh, dead tissue, whatever you want to call it. So, now let's see, why did I pull this up? I'm going to show you a little, I'm going to play this short, it's a little over a minute video here, and let you see, they call these blood vessels erythrocytes, or erythrocytes. So here goes. Red blood cells, or erythrocytes, are around 0.007 millimeter in diameter. Turn that down, wow. There are around 20 to 30 trillion erythrocytes present in the body at any one time. Each erythrocyte circulates for 3 to 4 months. See, I'm trusting this information from modern science. I don't know. I haven't found a reason why they would need to lie about this yet, which is the only reason I'm not saying anything about it, because I don't know if this is true or not. Produced in the red bone marrow. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they'd have a reason to lie about it, but here we go. Blood travels from the heart to the tissues through smaller and smaller vessels to the capillary beds. Okay, this must be a capillary bed. This vessel is embedded in fat droplets around the gut. Okay, so if these are fat droplets, those are all toxins encased in fat. That's what that is, and they all need to go. And they go when you fast. It's the first thing the body gets rid of, by the way, because those cells are useless other than to house toxins and protect the body from those toxins. Blood slows down as the capillaries get smaller. Now just imagine when those capillaries get blocked up with sediment and how much slower the blood moves and even gets blocked. There are estimated to be about 60,000 miles of blood vessels in an adult. Most of this is capillaries. Yeah, the little tiny flows of blood, which again are the trash company. They go through and collect the toxins and the cellular waste, and that's why the blood needs to be constantly detoxed. And where does it get detoxed? In the lungs. And that's going to be a separate video where I'll be diving deep on the lungs and what they actually do. DavidBarlowArchive.com if you're interested in checking that out. I haven't reviewed it, so I don't know what he's got going on. I just saw this video. So basically, what I wanted to say is the medical industry really screwed me over. Tried to. And more than once. I was looking at possible prison time because of these guys and having my kids taken away. So I focused, instead of just being pissed off and whatever other emotion I could have had and held on to, I decided to learn and learn a lot. I will stand with any doctor and discuss anything, and I will be using truth. So, yeah, anyways, let me shut that down. Okay, so I'm going to read from Hilton Hotema's Man's Higher Consciousness. This is page 15, where it talks about elimination. Let me turn off the pointer here. Or maybe I should leave it on, but I'll change the shape to rectangular. Maybe that's better. Experiments consistently show, without an exception, that elimination is much more important than feeding. Many refuse to recognize that fact. The maintenance of the vital condition of the body is more intimately and immediately related to and dependent upon the excreting part of the physiological process than it is upon the supply of new element. And when they say element, they mean food. Many refuse to recognize the fact that feeding may be suspended for a considerable period without causing anything more serious than loss of weight and strength. The records show that people have gone without food all the way from 40 days to 40 years and still lived in good health. but the elimination of the effete substance produced by tissue, they mean the dead matter, produced by tissue disintegration, cannot be checked for even a few, cannot be stopped for even a few minutes in warm-blooded animals without inducing fatal results. By the way, guys, this reminded me of something. I've been told by a few people that I should redo Man's Higher Consciousness and use words that are more modern. And I've thought about doing so. If you guys think that's a good idea, let me know. Every act of respiration is in effect the leading process of excretion. And did you see that? Every act of respiration, coughing, sneezing, burping, farting, all of it, is in effect the leading process of excretion, 70% of it. And the only process of animation, the only process that keeps you alive. For to stop the breathing is to stop the living, to stay the breathing. The products of cell disintegration are liquids and gases, of which the gases form the greater part. Now the liquids are mostly water, just like we are mostly made up of water. The major portion of the gases is eliminated via the lungs. The rest leaves the body through the kidneys and skin. The liquids also leave the body via the kidneys, lungs, and skin. Cells are not produced by food. This is a big one here. And this is all backed by science. This is all backed by cellular biology, guys. So anybody who has been curious about this, we reiterate that what man eats and drinks does not produce cells nor nourish them. The cells all come from the parent cell, the beginning point of the body. The body cells do not depend on what man eats and drinks. They are not nourished. That is another illusion. The cells are far above the nutritional level, far above, are independent of nutrition, and are self-existent and eternal, a fact demonstrated by Carrel. And what he's talking about, we'll pause, I'm not going to read this right now. He's talking about the Chick immortal heart theory. Heart tissue cultures that he used proved to be immortal. They keep growing. They just keep growing. And this isn't the only proof of this either. But this is on the Arizona State University.edu website right here. This is their science. Even their science is backing up what I'm reading right now. So here we go. Upon the demise of the body, the tissues, glands, and organs disintegrate, setting free the cells that constitute these structures, and the immortal cells return to the cosmic ether, whence they came. The cells are perpetual and indestructible, as are all primal elements of the universe, to which order the body cells belong. The cells are perpetual and indestructible. You see that? Perpetual and indestructible are our cells. Unless you throw some salt down the gullet and just burn them away, wear them down. So that's it for that. And I wanted to read a little bit more here. Bodybuilding material. All textbooks on anatomy teach that the human body is a composition of trillions of cells. The cells are not composed of food. By the way they've got it figured is for every kilogram of weight, you have about 1 trillion cells. Now that's going to vary based on which part of the body we're talking about, the bones, the teeth, the muscle, the skin. You know, they're all going to be dense, more dense, less dense. You're going to have more cells, less cells making up each thing, but that's what we are. On average, a kilo of weight is about 1 trillion cells. And actually, no, that's right. A kilo of weight, bone's going to weigh more. So yeah, a kilo of weight equals about 1 trillion cells. That's what they've figured. The cells are not composed of food. Science admits that the parent cell, science admits, not claims or proclaims, they admit. You know, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it is, it's true. They don't want this, they don't want that to be true. They want you to need them, these fuckers, man. Sorry, that's 2 F words. 2 whole F words in this whole video. Science admits that the parent cell is not the product of food. It also admits that all the subsequent cells are not the product of food. It is law that what food does not and cannot produce, it does not and cannot preserve and sustain. So, to speak or write of cell nutrition and body nourishment is not only unscientific, all you, but I need my protein, but I need magnesium. So it's not only unscientific, but it's an admission, per se, of anatomical and physiological ignorance, even though the statements may be those of a great doctor. When health officers die as they do in their 50s and 60s, it shows that they do not know what they should. One author says that we have one foot mired in an antiquated medical system that is dying, and with the other foot we are holding down a modern health system that is struggling to be born, which advocates health by healthful living in harmony with God's law of life, natural law. The origin and work of the parent cell is a mystery. That is the cell which begins the building of the body. That cell comes not from the parents. The so-called seed of the parents is not seed in the sense that it produces man. What is considered as the seed appears to do nothing more than to form a central electromagnetic point, around which occurs a condensation of invisible substance from the cosmic reservoir. The food one eats does not form nor sustain the body cells, nor do they come from the parent cell, which is just an electromagnetic center of crystallization and materialization, a pattern around which cosmic rays materialize into cells that form the growing body. In, in referring to this mystery, the great Carrel wrote, "The body builds itself by techniques very foreign to the human mind. It is not made of extraneous foreign material like a house. It is composed of cells, as a house is of bricks, but it is born of a cell, as if the house originated from one brick, a magic brick that would begin making other bricks. Those bricks, without waiting for the architect's drawings or the coming of the bricklayers, would assemble themselves and form a complete house. This is all via DNA, as does the body and all its various parts. Where do the cells come from, or the materials which they are composed? They rise as shadows and become substance as the result of the condensation and materialization of cosmic rays. And this is all that's contained in the atmosphere around us, by the way, guys. Everything that's in your blood and in your body is in gas form in the air all around you. So, I'm not going to read on with all that. Moving on. The immortal chick heart tissue cultures. They determined after like 30 something years that our cells were immortal based on these studies, and they didn't take 30 years to figure that out. They saw the cells double in size daily. Tissue from the body, nothing connected to it, just sitting in a dish, doubled. Doubled. Where did that matter come from, guys? Did it come from food? No, it didn't. So where the hell did it come from? Well, I've already read the answer to that, but that's for you to figure out and for you to trust or not trust. So this is something you can look into here. I'm not going to read all of this. I could do a whole video just on this study right here. So there's another proof here. Immortal cells of Henrietta Lacks live on in labs. Did you know that this lady, I'm not going to read this whole story, but this is another proof. They took cervical cells from this lady's cervix. She had cervical cancer. She died in 1951. They took a sample of her cells. Those cells that they took in 1951, they still use in labs now. And you ask, how can they use those cells? They just took some. Well, those cells double in size every day. So every single medical lab in the world that tests on human cells are testing on cells that have grown from her cells, because they keep proliferating, they keep going on, and they're not being fed by food. They don't have a colon. There isn't even blood running through them. So There you go. Immortals of Burma, supposedly over 1,000 years old. I have no problem trusting this information. I think there's people that are probably older than that, but they wouldn't tell anybody. Why? Because this idiotic world can't handle information like that. It's just too crazy. They'll want to put you in a zoo, study you, lock you up, whatever. Say you're crazy. Shit, man. When I go past the 120-year mark, I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to be making a big deal out of it. I'll just keep living my life. Watch the generations go by and watch other people live for a long time, the ones that listen and listen to their intuition and their highest self. So basically my point, I'm going to read this story here, it's very interesting, but my point is that we are choosing to die. We choose to age. Aging is not natural. This is what I'm saying. And I want to read this to you. This story, this really resonated with me. This is how I feel, like, all the time. This is how I feel. When you are less attached to your physical form because of your fasted state, you start feeling like this. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this. So, finally, I will give my own lived experience. This is from a person, this is a long read that I have not even gone through all of yet, but I know what it's about. And it's a guy who discovered that we're immortal, basically. So here's what he says here. Finally, I will give my own lived experience. It happened in the barren canyons near Pondicherry. I don't know where that is. I was sitting quietly when 3 men came out of a hollow. Instantly I knew they have come to kill me. I remained seated without moving, and very strangely, without making any effort or concentrating in any way, I suddenly found myself as if emptied of myself, without any reaction, without fear, without anything, like a stone, but a conscious stone, watching the scene as if it were some show that did not concern it, like in a dream, when you watch something happening to someone else, who is nevertheless yourself. The sensation was not really that of a stone, except for its neutrality, but rather of a body, my body, as if it were completely transparent and null, slightly floating. Nothing moved, not a quiver, not a throb, and I had nothing to do with it. There was no control, or any effort on my part. Something seemed to have seized hold of me in a transparent immobility. The 3 men were there, 2 in front, 1 behind. I did not move. They spoke amongst themselves. Then a sort of voice within me said, "Stand up." I stood up, with my back to the edge of the canyon. One of the 2 henchmen took off my watch, probably to make it look like a theft. The man behind came and stood in front of me. I saw the killer raise his arm to push me down into the canyon. I followed the movement of the killer's arm. My eyes met the golden eyes of the killer. He lowered his arm, stayed there for a moment, vacillating, as if he did not quite know what to do or what he was doing there. He in turn really seemed to look at the whole scene as if it had no meaning, or as if he had forgotten what he had come there for. He turned his back, the 2 others turned their backs, and they left. Then suddenly they took to their heels as if they were panic-stricken. Then my heart suddenly remembered that it should have been frightened, that it had just escaped, that I had just, or that it had just escaped being killed, and it started pounding like mad. The only thing I know is that had there been the slightest effort on my part, the least stiffening, the slightest reaction to reject those men, even an inner rejection, a mere no within, I would have been killed instantly. The wall thus raised would have met the other's vibration, and the vibration's ricochet would have triggered off the entire mechanism. But there was nothing, not a breath. I was like a draught. The other's vibration passed through, There was no ricochet. A draught cannot be killed, can it? To be able to kill, there has to be a contact, a grip. He could not grip anything, for there was nothing. So if there was nothing, there was nothing. That is to say, for 5 or 7 minutes, by some grace, my physical mind did not function. That is how all miracles occur. But the true miracle is the natural state. The true miracle is the natural state. The earth of the next species, a transparent secret. So I'm going to end this video with that. You are much more than you know, brothers and sisters. We are much more powerful than we realize. And you know who does know this? The people that are trying to control you. But I'm going to say this to you. They're not controlling a damn thing. You are. You are the one that's controlling you, not them. You are not a victim, my friend. You are divinity. We are gods. Jesus himself said it. If you're religious, Jesus himself said, "Ye are gods," when he was being accused of claiming to be God. He said, "Does not your scripture say, ye are gods?" I believe this is in John 13. It's in all the Gospels. So if you're a Christian and you can read that, you tell me what he meant by that. You're a god. It's time to start acting like one, everybody. Power up. It's time to change. It's time to stop being a drug addict. Food is a drug. It's an absolute drug. That's it for now. I love you all.